Bedív accorda Tasum go glushin shiv mate on micro shools on camera shools so the cart me gawker cart Mata dinigan now thumbs up again of in shin effective yesh to Oscar fader lat a raw go glushin shiv me thumbs up again of in shin new raw glushin shiv me you that you can hear me. Somebody can just put a thumbs up maybe on the right hand side on the menu there for a chat and question and answers. Just if somebody could say that they can hear me. Okay, I can hear myself. And feedback here. Working. So you're very welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks a million for being here on this lovely Thursday evening. Basically, I suppose our plan is a Nocturne plan at Ogwyn is that we just want to, I suppose, put across to the parents and guardians just what the students will be doing this year, you know, roughly speaking, and what are the expectations we have of the students, and just really to give you that information too, that you know really what's happening firsthand. Okay, so big session Gwyn a nocht session I'd say truckanomid Gwyn agus mota ein kesh to as you can see. Suseg and bar, as you can see up on the right hand side, that there's a question and answers channel, and that if you have any questions, please just write in the questions there and we'll try and answer those at the end of the session. Okay, so I see that people come back saying yes, they can hear me, great, Shingaman. So Kuntusa Kurlish and Krayloher. Okay, so Maurice Olive, as you know, I'm Ona Callick, principal of the school. I'm also the hIdirbhliana for Bliana Carr. I'm the fourth year head. Okay, why am I the fourth year head? Well, I suppose I like to be involved with the students, and I like to be involved in maybe the more fun part of the school, and that's definitely the TY side where I might get to go on a few trips if Kieran lets me go, and it's good. It's a good way to get to know the students. Okay. I suppose more importantly, and cohort or Clár, the TY coordinator is Kieran O'Connor, and he's been in this role for many years. And so between the two of us, I suppose he's very much leading the way with the TY program and what the students are doing on a day by day or week by week basis. And then I'm coming in as the hIdirbhliana a yearhead role and a more pastoral care side of it. We also have Patricia, who's our garment thrower, our school guidance counsellor. And then the students have 4 hIdirbhliana. Okay, so they're their class tutors. So you see class 4A, 4B, 4C, and 4D. And these teachers will be teaching the OSPS or SPHE in English curriculum, where I suppose they're discussing and learning about current and important topics for that age group. And those hIdirbhliana are also there, I suppose, as that first port of call, that Caras court, that friending court, as we say in Gaeilge, or more appropriately, that one good adult that's there to help the students develop a relationship with the students throughout the year. So Lekela, I suppose we have a system, and we have a pastoral care system where the student is the center of everything we do. Okay, our decision making is based on what's best for the student. And Feki two team player Shin, Tana Muntori, the teachers, and hIdirbhliana, they're the form tutors who are in charge of the 4 different class groups. Cole or Sculla, that's Patricia Elarta, and then Ancanara Blina, who in this case is me, the principal, Owen O'Callick. So between us together, I suppose that's the role I have, that we're trying to coordinate the care and the support we can give to the students, Blina, whatever that may be. So if you're concerned about something like Dalta Egan, please get in contact with me, and look, we'll try and help them in any way we can, and we'll implement plan A, plan B, plan C, and we'll keep going until we can try and help that student. Okay, so Imlina is the skull. So Cooper really ahara. We have a new school day. So Fekatula Bliana Carr. Bliana Carr have 6 classes per day on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, as you know. And they have 2 classes. Then their third class is a half-an-hour class with a half-an-hour break, half-an-hour class. Their 4 classes, full 1-hour class, or 58-minute classes as we call it. Then in period 5, they have another half-an-hour class, a break, and back into the class again. And then finally they have their 6th class. So that's the layout of the students have per day. And obviously on a Wednesday, they're not here, they're on their work experience, and on a Friday there's a slight change there as well. But generally that's how the timetable works with the students in TY this year. So at this point, I'm going to pass you over to Kieran, and he's going to go through a piece of I suppose, and failure, the calendar of events during the year, and much more.
So yes, Mr. Kieran O'Callaghan, being consulate Riv and Saura, as Mr. Core the Horclore. As Owen said, we in relation to transition year, it is a different year to other years. One of the main things that we're looking for each student to gain from it is an understanding of their options moving forward into the Leaving Cert program. And with that in mind, we have broken up the year into five actual different timetables. So you see that they've all started their first timetable. They'll continue that timetable for 7 weeks up until the 14th of October. They then switch to the next timetable for another 7 weeks, and so on to the third one for 7 weeks and the fourth one for 7 weeks. That'll bring them up to the Easter, and that just means that by Easter, all of the subjects that are available to them in the school for the Leaving Cert program, they will have received a taster in those subjects, and they'll be able to make an informed decision in their selection of subjects for the Leaving Cert program. In relation to, at the end of each of those 7 weeks, also there will be an assessment. So this is important. I know that there is sort of, when you speak to students, sometimes they won't give you the entire story, and certainly that's the case in TY. In all of the CREOver, or the sort of core subjects that we have, they will be given assessments after every 7 weeks. And after the second 7 weeks, after 14 weeks, in that assessment, there will be a report going out to parents also. They'll continue, they'll have another 7 weeks, and then again after the fourth block or the fourth timetable, they'll again do an assessment, and also there will be a report going home to parents. So it's a complete fallacy if students are saying that nothing is happening or are not doing anything. Just to make it absolutely very clear, we realized from the beginning of COVID onwards that it was very testing on students, and for some of them there was gaps appearing in some of their learning. This is something that we've seen across all of the years as we're moving forward. We're addressing it in the school, but one of the ways we're doing it for our transition year students is we are loading some of the Leaving Cert curriculum now into transition year. That's something that we wouldn't have really done in the past before, but we're certainly seeing that there is a need for it now. So in those core subjects, which they have pretty much every day of the week, it is important to note they should be in class, they should be prepared for class. There's always going to be homework in those subjects. And then as we move beyond Easter of next year, there's a 6-week time there until the summer. The assessment that will happen for that will be a little bit different. They are in the year going to be preparing a portfolio, which is, the way I describe it to them is, look, it's a scrapbook for your year, but it's also more important for that. It's where you set your aims for the year. At the beginning of the year, they'll be putting down exactly what they want to achieve in the year. And as the year goes on, they'll be collecting data, collecting information, and putting it into that portfolio. And that portfolio at the end of the year then will be used as their assessment. There will be interviews that we'll be organising. We'll be looking for the input of parents with that. So I will be in touch with you as the year goes on, or certainly Patricia, our Garment Fair teacher, will be doing that also. But we will look for parents to actually come in towards the end of the year and interview the students and see, question them on what they were looking for from the year, did they achieve it, and so on. That type of format is very rewarding for the student because they can actually get to talk an awful lot about the types of things that they were involved in. As you see in every slot at the moment, there is a lot of activity. We were just back today in Kilhuron with West Coast Bikes. The second half of the students were doing their cycling and kayaking. It was a stunning, beautiful day. But again, at the beginning of the year, we are doing a number of trips out between now and the first midterm. And maybe, Owen, you might just move on there for a second. Yeah, so as basically with the with the students, everything that we're focused on in the year, as Owen said, a lot of planning goes into this year. In relation to, we realize the importance of it in relation to the development of students in a personal, social, and academic way. none of those are ignored or none of them are let by. So in relation to the academic, like I said, it is very important that students are prepared, that they're coming into school with their diary, with their homework done, with copies, pens, and so on. That's something that we kind of look for on the side of parents as well, to be, because sometimes there is a script that is sometimes being said by students of, there's nothing going on in school, I don't need to go in, what am I going in for? We're making it absolutely very, very clear here. There's huge buy-in from teachers in the school in relation to the transition year program, and it's hugely important that we will be looking to develop a lot of sides of the student, but the academic side is something that we're not going to be forgetting about. Okay, in relation to some of the other areas of development, personal development, we see this as a year where the students, I suppose last year they were all, this time last year they were all thinking about their junior cycle and the end of their 3-year program. Then they'd be moving into the senior cycle, which does bring its own pressures with it, and sometimes there's only so much space in the bucket. So what happens is very often students will spend a lot of time on study and so on, and they kind of neglect certain other parts of their lives. With that in mind, we have added a lot of different elements to the program. Some of them, as you can see on the screen here, in relation to the SPHE class or OSPS, they are growing up, and there are certain subjects that we're introducing into that program, which are more mature and sort of more, they will be playing a huge important, or they will be of huge importance to the students as they get a little bit older. One of the other things I suppose I want you to take from this evening is there's a huge importance on the Gaisce Presence Award scheme. This is a scheme that is designed around TY. I'll be talking a little bit more about it as the talk goes on, but it is in this sort of window now in the next few weeks where students should be making a decision on what exactly they're going to be doing for that. It marries really well with the program, and any students we have, all the students we have who leave TY or transition year, with their head held high and having had a great year, pretty much person by person, they all have done their Gaisce Presence Award scheme. So that's something that we'd really like the students to think about. And over the next couple of weeks, their Ejiranga will be talking to them about that. There will be their preparation of the portfolio, as I said. It allows them to reflect on growth through the year. And that will also, as I said, be the basis of their end of year interviews. Career guidance is very important this year. They will be doing things like interviews at the end of the year. And as I said, we will be looking for parents to help on that side. In relation to creative arts, I suppose the highlight for a lot of the students we hope during the year will be the musical and Kyoldrum and Maisaku Itusaner August Fiaura. Podcasting, we're going to be starting some classes next week in that. So again, that's something, we have a recording studio that's been developed in the school over the last couple of years. A number of students have been using it. We'd like to make more use of it. So certainly that's something we'll be pushing through the TY year. Art projects, again, that's to be confirmed. Last year we had a couple of really good art initiatives in the school. We did receive some funding for it, and that's something that we're developing this year with our sponsorship partners to try and bring something else into the frame. And also we have things like fitness classes and leadership. GA Future Leaders, Moshos Niashville is running that this year, and Gurmila Magi Line Scullery, Love Sua. So we have filled that class. They'll be doing that all year. And again, it's a new initiative. So we're all the time trying to keep things that are working in the school and bring new things in as we see them. We'll also be running a SOAR wellness workshop later on in the year.
Okay, so Arish, for a couple of seconds, I suppose just in relation to subjects. So one big thing I would see is that sometimes I get phone calls saying that students don't have important subjects on certain days. Basically, as Kieran was saying there, all the core subjects, that's your Gaeilge, Béarla, Mata, your languages, are on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday and Friday of every week. So there's no such thing as a day where there's no core subjects happening. So really it is so important, especially for TY, that we are, starting with the Leaving Cert course, that they're in every day, that they attend these courses and these classes. So what we'll be doing 7 to 8 weeks then of taster subjects, as Kieran said. So you can see them up there in a blusher over. So there's 16, I think there's 17 subjects altogether that we do. And then by Easter, students will be choosing those subjects. Also in the middle there you can see additional subjects like mental health. Last year we got to create a flag, coding, computers, journalism, where we'll be creating a TY newsletter, and then Garment Throat, career guidance, and again that's what Kieran mentioned about our CVs and interview preparation. So what the students will do is they will do a set timetable for 7 weeks, 7 to 8 weeks, and then they will rotate onto another timetable with the same course subjects, but with different over Brescia, different additional subjects, and different Blasha over different taster subjects. So really, it is so important that we get high attendance levels from all students in TY. Okay, so Bugger right, I'm going to pass back to Kieran for the Gashka to just discuss the Gashka Award.
Yeah, so yeah, these are Gashka, we see these as some of the creative subjects, some of the areas where students can really stamp their own sort of identity and I suppose move away from being junior students, start thinking about the wider world. The Gashka President's Award scheme, it's the only award that the President hands out in the country. I'm far from TY age, but I did the Gashka President's Award when I was in school, and an awful lot of other people, probably around the same ages as you, would have done it if you didn't do it yourself. It has huge currency in Ireland. It's basically the difference. You know, if someone walks into a business and they're looking for a job or whatever it might be, this shows a get up and go sort of attitude from a student. It's optional, and that's you know, that's the very nature of it. But it does show somebody that has taken the time to actually try to improve their own situation and add things to their own lives. There are 4 parts to it. There's the personal skill, which again, all of us, I'm sure, looking back on our lives, would love to have added something, or just even, you know, learned how to cook a little bit earlier, or it could have been a musical instrument or whatever, coding, all this sort of stuff. It's basically an hour a week for 13 weeks with the personal skill. Physical recreation can be pretty much anything. A lot of students are already involved in sport, and that time that they're already spending, let it be an hour a week training with their local football, hurling, camogie team or basketball team or whatever, going to the gym, which an awful lot of the young people now, I've started seeing a lot of our younger students starting to join gyms in the area. All of this automatically counts for their Gashka Award. But one of the more important parts of it is the community involvement. This is where the students are involved in charity work, local club volunteering, and so on. I suppose it's the key element of transition year, is the fact that students start thinking about the world as slightly bigger than just sort of junior world they may have had up to now, that they start seeing local issues, local people that need help, and so on. With that in mind, we do work closely. Young St. Vincent Paul are with us tomorrow. Helen Ralph will be in talking to all the transition years in the morning, and she'd be looking for volunteers, people in the school who are happy to put their hand up and help with a few initiatives that they'll be doing during the year. With the COPE, we have a few other charities also that we're going to be working with in the year. So there'll be plenty of opportunities for the students to fill the criteria, as I said, in those. So there's 3 of them. There's personal skill, physical recreation, community involvement. They'll do 2 of those for 13 weeks. They'll do 1 of those for 26 weeks. There'll also be an overnight adventure journey, and that'll be happening later in the year. So that very often works as kind of like a reward for all the hard work that they would have done during the year. In relation to the Gashka, the students sign up themselves. Now we will be, their Edurang will be talking to them about this over the next couple of weeks, and this can be done in a computer room also in the school if they didn't have access to it at home. But you can sign up on gashka.ie. It's €15 to sign up. They choose me, Mosher Colleran, as their President's Award leader. They keep an online diary so I can see that they're actually doing the thing, and then the awards will arrive at the beginning of the school year next year. So like I said, it's a huge thing. It's designed around transition year. If your son or daughter is not doing it, there probably should be a pretty good reason why they're not doing it. You know, they have a lot more time in the evenings now, and you know, outside of, obviously they're doing their core subjects, but it's not as intensive this year academically. They won't have to be studying for mocks and things like that. They will have more time for themselves. Okay, as well as that, we have a number of other types of classes in the school. We have philosophy with Louis. That's one of the taster subjects. They'll be doing 7 weeks of philosophy. Music generation are here every week, and then GA Future Leaders, like I said, Roisin Asheville is running that. She's one of our maths teachers, but again, there's been huge, very, very positive things said about it, and that's why we're trying to bring it into the program here. Also there's things like photography and chess, just, you know, slightly abstract subjects maybe, but that they can just develop themselves and maybe think a little bit more about certain things that they wouldn't have had time to up to now. Okay, and just I'm going to repeat this again in relation to assessment. The assessment will be taking place in core subjects. The taster subjects, you know, in relation to those, because students will sometimes be away and they might miss out on 1 or 2 of the classes of a 7-week block, you know, we don't see that it'd be hugely beneficial to be testing them all the time in those types of subjects. They're more for tasters. But in relation to English, Irish, Mata and their foreign language, you know, this is something they're going to have the same teacher, they're going to be learning the same subject throughout the year. So every 7 weeks, there will be exams taking place in the school for the students. And they will be, after the second block of those, there'll be a report going home. And after the 4th block of those, there'll also be a report going home. And then towards the end of the year, from Easter on to the end of the year, it'll be finishing up with their portfolio, getting that finished. And also we'll be running interviews in the school. And like I said, I will be annoying some parents, trying to get them into the school. It's actually a great thing though for themselves. I suppose if I'm interviewing them, you know, they'll obviously take it seriously and so on. But having an actual parent there who's got professional experience, works in a certain field outside of the school, sometimes that gives an extra sort of factor to the whole thing. And the students obviously would be preparing the thing very well for that.
Okay, Gramila Margaret Kieran done Fisa Shin. Look, next piece I suppose is an important thing, and Kyoldrum, the musical. Now we haven't been able to run a musical for 2 years for obvious reasons, so we're extremely excited by this. The students already are aware of the musical that we're doing, All Shook Up. It will be on at the end of January, start of February in the town hall, and already I can hear them during the day practicing. So they're getting to know the songs and they're watching the video of it. And next thing we'll be doing auditions. If I could go back to school, would I take part in it now? Yes, but I was probably too shy back then. So in Rudtomig Geary or Tishmahori, try and encourage them to get a role in this, whatever role it is. There's backstage, there's stage design, there's so many parts to it. And it's just, no matter what part they have, it's definitely one of the highlights. And we had our 6th year graduation there last May, and the highlight was the musical, you know, so the importance of this is huge. So look, it's a huge event for us. The amount of effort that goes into this, the finance that goes into this is huge as well. And on that note, look, we will be looking for sponsorship. So if you're out there and you feel you could help us financially, and we would in turn obviously give recognition in our Lauren our newsletter, or we'll make sure that we make this work. But definitely we will be looking for support with this musical this year. I'll go back to Kieran here just for school trips.
Yeah, now this is an issue that, or this is a subject that I suppose is very important that we acknowledge, first of all, the extreme hardship that everyone at the moment, certainly we're all getting a little bit poorer quite quickly at the moment, you know, and we're not blind to that at all in the school. We absolutely acknowledge the difficulty that people are having and going to have as time goes on with the seemingly endless price rises, be it in energy or whatever it might be across the board. We're all, I think they were saying something like we're all about €3,000 less off on average than we were this time last year. So with that in mind, we had I suppose when we were looking at this last year, we were looking and saying, well, you know, the last time we went on foreign trips, we looked at a ski trip, and we also went to, we took a trip to Prague, and we made, so there were different price points. The ski trip is, you know, it's a huge adventure for the students. All the feedback we ever got from these trips was incredibly positive from both students and parents. But it is expensive. It's very expensive. And looking at the price this year, it's the ballpark figure for that trip. And I can't give an exact figure at the moment because obviously for a trip that's going to be happening in March right now, we can't get a definite price right now from anybody. But it looks like the guide price is that will come in around €800, which for anybody right now would be challenging. So, you know, with that in mind, for a foreign trip, there'll only be one foreign trip. It'll either be a ski trip, but actually, sorry, there's three options. It'll either be a ski trip, it'll be a trip to Spain. And again, a lot of our students now are studying Spanish. So we have sourced a Spanish trip. It'll be staying in Salou and visiting different areas around Barcelona. That would be approximately €200 less, around €600. And again, that's a guide price. It's very hard to nail down exactly what it'll be, even with buses and things like that at this stage, but it'll be about €600. So what I'll be doing in the next couple of days is I'll be sending out an email to parents. I'm sorry, the last option, which is inclusivity, is a huge part of this. It's not the value of going on any of these trips is that the students spend time with each other, away from family, which again is not to say that would be a negative if family were there, but it's probably the first time most of these students will ever travel without mum and dad there with them. So, you know, with that in mind, we have booked a few dates back in Killary. We're looking at a 3-day or 2-day trip, 2 nights. We'd like as many students as possible to be able to go on that. The cost of that at the moment is around €250. All of these trips, by the way, are optional. We know that different families are under different circumstances, and it's not just financial. There's loads of other reasons why people may not decide to go on these trips. A lot of people have different things going on. It just so happens that the week falls badly for them. But going back to the foreign trips, what we're going to do is I'll be sending out a questionnaire to parents. I'll give the option of, look, would you like your son or daughter to go on the ski trip at guideline this price, or would you like them to go on the Spanish trip guideline this price? And you can absolutely say that, look, I prefer if they wouldn't go on either of them, and that's absolutely fine. Based on the feedback from parents, if there's enough demand, we'll then look at running one of those trips. And then the other option, as I said, the trip, the overnight trip in Connemara, in, you know, one of what I believe is one of the most beautiful parts of the world that I've seen. We want that to be as open to as many students as possible. Okay. Yeah, and just last thing, I know this as students have started their work experience this year. We did start this a little bit sooner than usual, but we had given notice to students and parents, and thankfully, pretty much across the board, students had organized this. So it happens every Wednesday. There's 3 rounds of 10 weeks at the moment. Now, there might be later on the year, if there's trips going on or whatever, possibly one of those Wednesdays that they're on might be affected, but we'll give plenty of advance notice so that the students can let the employer know that they might not be there for one of the weeks. Now, in relation to that, because there's 3 rounds, I suppose whenever I'm advising students on what they should be looking at, our parents, I'd always think, first of all, one of the roles should or could lead the student into a part-time job. They are getting to the age now where, you know, they're going to want the new iPhone, they're going to want whatever. It's good for the students to have some sort, especially during the summer or whatever, to maybe get a part-time job and to be able to fund some of their own spending. Certainly when they go to university, any sort of experience that they would have had working in cafes, restaurants, shops, all of those places at the moment are crying out for staff. So when it comes to summertime, hopefully, if they've had a block of experience in one of those places, that will help them next summer and leading on into their college lives as well. I'd also mention that, you know, at this stage, they will be thinking about certain careers or certain lines of work. It's a fantastic opportunity. It's the only time they're ever going to get to go into a solicitor's office or go into an accountant's office or go into any of these places without having studied for 4 or 5 plus years, done all sorts of interviews, jumped through hoops, and finally to have landed a job. So in their case, they don't need to do any of those things. They just need to knock on doors or ring people or ask, and they will get an understanding or an immersion in a subject that they're interested in. So it's an opportunity that they really shouldn't be throwing away. So rather than just you staying in the same shop for the year, try to find from them what is the area that you're thinking of, even in a general sense. Do you like maths? What sort of subjects do you like? And try to move them into a job in that area. And the final one would be with a charity if possible. Now, this is a little bit more limited. It's SVP, and these there are a number of charity shops in town, there's Mother and so on. With over 100 students doing transition year, there's only so many places that will take students for work experience. But again, it is something worth exploring. And I think that, you know, if students can be working in a non-profit organization and understanding about, you know, the importance of helping others, that's something fantastic they could gain through the year.
Okay, just Gormaga Kieran Shin, I just feckin Kesh to one, I chucked Shock and Shin. So is it a ski or Spain? Yes, that's what we're saying this year.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
We realize that the cost of 2 foreign trips is just too much. So Kieran will be sending out a survey to see which is the more popular, I suppose. And if neither is, we accept that also. And then we'll be looking at a trip in Ireland where we have a few dates booked, where we can hopefully get more of the class. Definitely on that trip to Killary or somewhere like that. So that's kind of the general idea with it. Look, to me, Björk McCown, with a few more slides to go here, but we're nearly finished. But I suppose the big thing, Wemsha, Agzo Kieran, no, go make Nadalti, Iglaka, Parsawacha, Sablinsha. So the big thing for us, and this is where we need your help, is to encourage students to get involved in everything. There's some things that Kieran will put on the program will be an opt-in, where there'll be space for 25 students. And I found last year, you know, you see the same students signing up for each of these events, and the same students not signing up. And it's fairly clear cut. If they sign up, they have good fun. Okay, so as I said, they're opt-in, best year of their lives. All right, no exaggeration, fear. But if they opt out, it's the opposite, you know. So we just really eat a spraga. I guess in a desh so like we want to just encourage them to take part. And
I know, and I might just add to that. I suppose the next, in relation to a transition, and there always are a few students who they go through the year, they don't get involved in stuff, they don't sign up for anything at the beginning of the year, they don't put up their hand for anything, and eventually all these things are happening around them and they're not involved in it. And very often, come maybe April, May or so, you know, I'll get phone calls from parents who are quite despondent, saying, look, you know, can you, Johnny or Mary, whoever it might be, they don't seem to be getting anything from the year, you know, what's going on. And the point I always make is the next time that they're given, you know, if you look at the program, they get a timetable. There's always classes on for them during the day, but we are presenting them with a lot of options in front of them. The next time that this type of year happens, it'll be first year in university. When you go to university, again, you go in the first day, you get your timetable, and you know, obviously you show up for your classes, but things like clubs, things like getting involved in college, an awful lot of students will fall out of first year because they never put their hand up. They never actually get involved in things. And some of them will end up just, I don't know, sitting in a flat, you know, drinking cans for the first 6 months and then dropping out by Christmas. So the next time that they're given this type of freedom to decide for themselves is in college. And if they're not happy to participate now, I'd see a warning light there. It's time to maybe have a chat with them and say, look, you need to find something in the year that you're happy to get involved in, because if this repeats itself, you know.
But much like Bratner and Nadine fresh just in Kata Portak, Snemokti, Kanakwa Portak, Snemokti. So we'll see a trend also. We just want to make sure they'll have a good time if they get involved. That's it, you know, from the musical to everything else. Just try and encourage them to do that. Just I suppose in terms of social media and everything, we'll be putting stuff up on the school website. There's a section there for an hIdirbhliana for TY. The Twitter, school Twitter account, we're always putting every good story and every activity we can up there. Same with Instagram. And then Kieran then from time to time, when he gets time, which is hard to get, Sean and Shimak Refust, he sent out an email to parents as well, just to let them know what's happening. Just going back to the subject choices, and this is probably an important thing looking ahead for the Leaving Cert. So as I said, students will be sampling subjects for 7 to 8 weeks and moving on another set of sampler subjects. But then in Fiara, we'll have a session Erlina probably, Patricia and Garmentor. So Patricia, our career guidance teacher, will do a session online with you about the subject options. We will be doing work with the students in school as well. And then by the end or the start of Easter, students will have to choose in order of preference, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the subjects they like most and work their way down. So what students have to pick, I will then be trying to do my best to give them all their preferences. And in the last 2 years, I've managed to make sure every student got their first and second preference. And then I'd say 70% got their third preference and 30% got their fourth. And then we look at a few changes and we sit down with those few who might have got the first or their third preference and see have they got the right options. But it's really important, again, if students are not in class, if they're not in class, they won't get a chance to sample these subjects. So just remember that, and then we'll be discussing this again in February, between February and Easter. And Red Dernock, and last thing I'm going to talk to you about today is we got our Leaving Cert results here 2 weeks ago, and something we're really proud of as a school. You know, results aren't everything, okay? The pastoral care, how we mind our students, how we respect our students, and how they respect everything around them is equally important. But let's be happy too and proud of the results we have got. So in terms of results there, you can see, you know, 26% of our Leaving Cert this year got 600 points plus. And that's as good as any school in the country, and equals any fee-paying school that you could find. So it's an important thing to remember that, you know, we're heading into TY here. You know, we have a 3-year course. It's not 2 years, it's a 3-year course that the students are embarking on. But is Féidir Trí Gaeilge? There is no question that the students cannot reach their potential in this school. 42% got 550 points or more, and 56% of our Leaving Certs got more than 500 points. Okay, you can see there, compared to national average, we're way above the national average, and as I said, we can match any fee-paying school that you will find in the country with grades similar to that. Equally, if you look at the individual subjects, Feicthe and Sin, and Tasha Dakar, Ida Echo, Tasha Bio Galore, top left, mathematics. The green line is Cláis na Corba. There's a small kind of bronzy yellow line, which is Gael Scoilna Satir, and that's how I compare. Okay, Gael Scoilna do well always, and the blue line is the national average of all schools. So you can see straight off, so mathematics, we are well above Gael Scoilna and the national average. In English, we have Irish, look, we should be good in Gaeilge, but Feicthe told me this far on a Gael Cláis Ella, and he was this far no on scale go no shunta. The Bugariger yes in the English, again, you know, there's no question that you could say that education through Irish, you know, is going to limit the students, even in English. As you can see there, our grades are above Gael Cláis and the national averages. The bottom left there, I just put in 3 random ones that aren't core subjects. Biology, which is very popular. We'd always have maybe 3 biology classes going into 5th year. And again, our grades are well above the other 2 lines on the graph. Home economics, you can see Gael Cláis and the national average is down at around 10% for H1s, while we're starting at 80%. You know, and then Eriesh, accounting, Arish, were well above the national average on a Gael Cláis. I can say from looking at the results, I could put up 10 more slides. Leshan Tolas show Galer. It's, you know, our grades are absolutely excellent, and I just want to commend, I suppose, the teachers for a number, but more so just so you know, starting in 4th year is where the journey starts, you know, and then continuing to 5th year and 6th year, this is the grades that the students can get and will get if they put in the effort on their side, and the teachers and the school will definitely make every effort in Ireland to make sure they get there, and that's what we've been doing for years here. So I just wanted to add that in because I think it's an important point at this point that we say this is the start of the journey. We're not thinking at the end of 4th year, what are we doing about education? Well, you know, I'm zoned in on where we're going here. I want students to do really, really well. You can see from the grades here, that's what happens, you know, if the students continue with us through the Leaving Cert cycle. So just let me talk to you and slide down at anew. I'm just looking at here at a few of the questions. So hopefully there, I'm still live there. I think I am, yeah. So I'm just looking at a few questions here. Any information about the inflation going down? No, I don't. So would it be possible to send out texts when they have outing days with what is needed for the trip? I would find it helpful. It's a good question. I'll be honest, the cost of text messages is just shocking as well. So as a school, we have to limit, you know, our own budget as well. So what we do is, like, Kieran has a Teams, Microsoft Teams, that all the students use, and any information that's going out is going out through that team. And we encourage yourself maybe to be able to have a look at that team as well.
Yeah, like in relation to, for example, with the trip that we did this week, that information would have gone out. I spoke to the West Coast Bikes earlier last week, and they sent on the clothes and so on that were needed for the students, and I sent that information on to the students. So if you are looking for an update, just ask your son or your daughter, look, could you check Teams and see is there anything about that? And if there's not, if I have forgotten or there's not something up there, by all means, your student can contact me directly, and I will send that information out to them, straight away.
Okay, a few other questions there. Could there be a French trip by any chance? Look, it's difficult to organise these trips. It depends on the people who are available to go.
Yeah, there's that. There's cost as well. Like it's, we've gone to any of the ski trips we went on. We've gone to Italy for the simple reason that we can't really afford to go anywhere else. Like, as in, the cost gets incredibly prohibitive very, very quickly. Even like city breaks, like the one that we're looking at for Spain at the moment, it's a lot cheaper to go to Spain than to go to France. You're paying a premium. Now, I've lived in France for years, but you're all the time paying a premium when you're going to a country like France. So we can certainly look down that road, but it is, you're talking about, for example, for a ski trip, it's €200 to €300 more expensive to go to France on the equivalent trip than to go somewhere like Italy. So cost is always something that's in the back of our mind. We don't want to be burdening parents with crazy numbers or whatever it might be. We don't see, and we want it to be as inclusive as possible.
Okay, Cúpla Castell and Shin, what are the options for music? Well, again, music is an optional subject for Leaving Cert, so all students will be doing 7 to 8 weeks of music in TY year, and then if they choose to hold on to that subject, they can do so for Leaving Cert. I make Crinnaha Tish Mahora Moontour Marvin de will the parent teacher meetings will be back as they normally are. As far as I know, I think that's what we're planning to do, is to go back to face-to-face parent teacher meetings. And I'm just looking at one other question here. A question on TY hoodies. Could they get them at the start of the year rather than at the end of the year? To be honest, and I say this with my principal hat on, we prefer not to, simply because we're trying to make sure we have a good uniform being worn every day at school by students. We've introduced a new half-step hoodie on Bar 80 Nua that students can wear on top of their jumper. Why we've done this, I suppose, one, we don't know what's the story with COVID. We're probably going to keep windows and ventilation open as much as we can, and equally, we don't want students to be cold. We also want to reduce probably a fashion show between people coming in with different tops on, and this is a smart extra top that can be used for PE, for school trips away. That we can be proud of our students when they travel, when they're dressed like this, and also because it has to be value for money, that they can wear this in class on top of their jumper if they're cold. So we're trying to promote that, and that'll be our first, major thing to get right this year, and just have a smart uniform with it in the class. Well, English and Shin, are they doing any team sports football this year? Yes, all team sports are back, and they were away today. The under-17s were away in Ennis playing basketball today, the boys. I know the girls are back as well, and all hurling, football, everything will be back as it was. So yeah, we should have every sport going like previous years prior to COVID. What does photography involve? Does it give
yeah, so photography, it's, to be honest, it's a fun module that we're putting in, and the students, we don't have a huge amount of equipment. We don't have professional cameras and like that in school. They're using their own smartphones for it. So what, it's getting them out and about, explaining to them elements of taking good pictures over bad pictures and so on, and they're really taking pictures the rest of their days, probably the way we're going. But it'll be a bit light. It's not a fully professional sort of course that we're running. It's a taster that they get out of the class, that they go out with their friends, try and take good pictures. We have a few competitions like that and so on. We're close to Barna Woods. Yeah, it's a lighter form of a course rather than a professional. We don't have the equipment here to be, or the expertise to be running a professional course.
Okay, so near Keshna, Intuk either Clustal or Ecol. So junior cert results as of today, and I know there was a meeting of different director of schools. We still do not know when the junior cert results will be will be released, or what date that is. So there's no date yet of that. Person here asking about the parent-teacher meetings worked online. Look, we will discuss it. We haven't made a final decision, to be completely honest. I do know some schools are going back to face-to-face. How long is the trip usually? I would say the trips in Ireland that Kieran's talking about would be 2 nights.
Yeah, 2 nights, 3 days. So they'd be arriving down there. They'd be staying they get 2 full days of activities. They get a half day. We'd arrive there for lunch, and then they do a half day, and then they'd stay overnight. They do a full day the next day, and then we would do a half day, and then we come back at the end of that of the third day, if you know what I mean. So they get 2 full days activities, 2 nights, and there'd be different activities involved in that as well.
Yeah. Will there be a TY ball? I do know there's a TY ball every year. As a school, we're not part of it for many reasons. That it's a difficult thing to control. It's normally run by students with the support of some parents every year, but they do run a TY ball. It can be difficult for them to find a venue because hotels are very careful about who they let in. But I would say Cloisteann has a very good name. So, but it's something that the school does not get involved in. Can we get a copy of these slides? Yes, all these slides, I'll be putting them up on the school website directly after this presentation. Can you do music as a subject for Leaving Cert cycle if you haven't done it for June Cert? Yes, you can. I'm not a music teacher, but you definitely can do music for Leaving Cert. To be honest, a student can pick up any subject you want for Leaving Cert, but you need to be mindful of the subject that you're picking up. And you know, some subjects might be harder to pick up for Leaving Cert than not having done before. Does Gaisce run along with the school year? So the different activities have to be completed by the end of the school year to be counted towards the award.
So basically, there are 3 awards. They can do a bronze, they can do a silver, or they can do a gold. In transition year, pretty much across the board, any school always run the bronze, for the simple reason that we can fit 26 weeks of activities into the school year. And it means that by the end of the year, they'll have completed it. I can check their work and then put them forward for the award. We do have students, though, who will do the bronze award and then go on and do the silver award, which takes more time and there's more of a commitment to it. And I actually have some students now who've left the school for many years, but they are pursuing the gold award, which they're doing while they're in university. But I'd still be their President's Award leader. So it's a building blocks. It's not a case of, well, I want to do the gold straight away or trying to bite off more than you can chew. With the year that they have, the bronze is absolutely ideal for it. It means that in the next couple of weeks, they can make their decision what they want to do. They can start, or they can have started already, and then they will have it completed by the time the school year comes to an end. This is just a nice sort of size to the whole thing.
So I think we're nearly at the end of our questions there. Do students have to be Garda vetted for work experience in schools?
In specific schools, there are some schools that will look for it. Yeah, there are some schools that I know that in Renmore, for example, that they do want students to be Garda vetted. It's not across the board. It depends on the school themselves. If it is something that comes up at the talking to the principal stage or whatever, absolutely we can put them forward for Garda vetting. In relation to Garda vetting, the student has to be 16 before they can be Garda vetted, and there are a number of documents and so on that the student needs to give us for them to be vetted. The process itself can be kind of hit and miss. We have had years where we sent them on to be Garda vetted and they come back straight away. Other years we sent them off and they just seem to have gone into limbo. But it is something that we're trying to improve. And we're talking to people in the GRETB who are organising that to try and make sure it's as good a process as possible. But again, it relates to the school themselves. If it comes up, some schools will not ask for it, and so they won't need to be Garda vetted for that.
Níl question Ella Kieran.
Yeah, what does, oh sorry, sorry.
I think
no,
yeah,
yeah.
So look, Accorda Tashiv Eolais Nish Quagan we're here 50 minutes, and I'm just this is our first year doing this event kind of, and I suppose the main goal for myself and Kieran is just that you, the parent, the guardian, is aware of exactly what's happening during the year with the TY students. And I hope tonight has given you a good flavour of what's coming up for the year, and really what are the expectations that we have as teachers and school management for the students. You know, we expect them to do everything. And why? Because we know if they try everything, you know, socially it's going to benefit them. Academically, it's definitely going to benefit them, as you can see from the grades we achieved last year. And you know, it's just so important that they're in school every day and that they're not, I suppose, signing out and saying, oh, I'm going home because there's nothing on. You know, I don't buy that. Tá on top to quill their skull. Blush over it, cree over the main subjects that are happening every day. And then it's more the activities and being in new classes. Now, we're on trips nearly every day and we always put 2 classes together. So no one student is stuck with one class. They're all intermixed and, you know, just mingling together. And then even during the day, at their classes, we join them up together so that, you know, we want them to get to know as many students as they can and not rely on the same few people they have maybe up to junior cert, and then that can flourish going ahead for leaving cert, where they will be spread out even more depending on their subject choices. So look, it's a Turas, Seo Tús an Turas an Árteist, Tusnu Hídirbhliana. This is the start of a journey for leaving cert. The only difference is that we want to make sure that this is enjoyable, entertaining, and I suppose eventful in a good way for the students, and go many sheets in on Tanav agus Tarva. Awesome. So look, Bunchen, Movic Squall, Kieran, Vel, and Sholum, and up agus Grumila Mal, a Guiv, as up to Vet, Lynn, Erlina, and Ben McKindliff Galua. Okay, Grumila Magat,
Sorry.